Hey, Eric. How you doing tonight?
Hey, John. How is it going?
I asked
It's
you
going.
first. uh, it's good.
I am a little tired.
Well,
Um,
I'm sorry that I took longer preparing than normal, so it's almost 10:30, and we're only started, so it's okay.
yeah,
Uh,
it's going to be a late night.
Whatever.
All good. How was your weekend?
My weekend it went really fast. It was lovely weather around here. But it was bachelor weekend. My wife was gone for the weekend. And, so that meant that, I had to take the boys, to, strings practice on Saturday. And then what did we do after that? It seems like we did something, and then my other boy was over at a friend's house all day Sunday. And, I don't know, but in between we're listening to the Wheel of Time. I think we're in book 7. And so,
Okay.
there was, a good number of hours spent listening to, Robert Jordan, which is perfectly fine with all three of us.
Yep.
And so it's all good. But, Sunday I got quite a bit of stuff kind of done around the house, mowing and outdoor stuff and just kind of, preparing for winter. Winter is coming. And, I have a list like 4 miles long of stuff I need to do, but it's okay. I guess I did spend a couple hours Saturday morning. This is like terrible podcast. And I'm probably a terrible person for spraying Roundup, but, we do battle with, a weed called tansy ragwort. It's poisonous to horses and lots of animals. And it is, totally invasive. And actually, it used to be that the government imposed a fine if it was found growing on your property to induce everyone to kind of stop and kill it. But they've introduced beet or worms, I guess, that supposedly eat it. But that goes in cycles where it only really the worms all come if you have like a large patches of it. But so I put the backpack sprayer on and I went around and around and around. And anyway, because it's on a 2-year life cycle. So if I can spray and kill the young things now, then, it will be better next year. If I do it next year, it will be very, very good the year after that. The problem is actually being consistent. And I have a problem with consistency sometimes. So I'm like, I'll get around to it. But then, you really should have gotten around to it like a couple months ago. Anyway, whatever. It's work.
Well, so your comment on invasive species reminded me of a fun fact.
Okay.
So
invasive fact.
No, it's actually the opposite direction.
Okay.
But so my boy and I'll tell you, we went to take some pictures.
Okay.
And we were up at the Cooper Mountain Nature Park.
Okay.
And he had this camera out, and some of his buddies, they were going to go take pictures, and we happened to come across the park ranger or
Dosen.
A guy there who worked for the park service, who was actually a botanist by trade.
Ooh.
And he looks at, there's 4 boys, teenagers, and he goes, "Stay on the gravel path, boys. Don't go hiking through, and just stay on the path. That's the rules. Kind of a little gruff." And I was like, they'll stay on the path. I know their stuff. And he turns, he goes, "Did you know the reason why is not to be mean, but there is a specific species of flower called the rock larkspur." Is a common name that if you Google rock larkspur, you find it. That's only found in 20 different places on planet Earth. And the Cooper Mountain Nature Park is one of them.
Oh.
So this flower, the rock larkspur, it's a tiny, sometimes slightly poisonous white and lavender small flower, and it only grows in a few spots on the planet, and the nature park we were at is one of them. So not an invasive species,
That's very cool.
a endangered species. I guess he said it's an endangered species, and they have signs about it. He was showing signs. Anyways, so
there you go.
Along your
there you go
ish line there.
Ish.
There you go.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted your weekend.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's all good. I don't. I had a relatively boring weekend, or a relatively quiet weekend. Does eating Panda Express count as excitement?
Well, in addition to taking some pictures, we were doing some more driving because he's in a driver's ed class. He's got his final drive, which is the freeway driving, merging onto the freeway and off the freeway. And he's got it tomorrow at 5:45 p.m. So
rush
hour-ish traffic, that's a bummer, but okay. So he's a little nervous, but that's the other thing we did this weekend was we practiced driving some more
and actually going on and off freeways.
That was the plan. And then we didn't.
You probably don't want the first time you ever merge on a freeway to be during the test.
Well, we did. You know how 217 has those. I don't know what they're called. The lane that you merge on, but you have to actually merge off. It's a
The
on ramp, off ramp.
The exit
collector lane, whatever it's called. Yeah, we did those. Okay. He never actually merged on the freeway. He just would get on and off on those. So we were doing that just to get used to kind of coming up to speed, but then immediately getting off the freeway again. All right. So he's a little, anyways.
That's all good.
Yeah. And then the other exciting thing, we remodeled our kitchen.
Yeah. I was going to ask you how the kitchen was.
A piece of furniture that we no longer need, a kitchen hutch where we had dishes and stored some stuff in. I put it up on the OfferUp app that you suggested to me for what I thought would be a pretty reasonable sell really fast price. Nope. I've been lowering it ever since, and I'm now almost to free, and still nobody wants it. So apparently nobody wants a reasonably decent hardwood kitchen hutch, including Goodwill or Habitat for Humanity. It's on their list of things they won't accept. And well, I'm like,
you're like, it's nice.
I just want it. My wife is now to the point she's like, it needs to be out of the garage. I don't care how. And so the next step is chopping it up and putting it in the bin.
No, that can't be.
But it's a very nice piece of furniture. So I just need to find someone who wants a...
Although that exact rationale is why I can barely walk in my shop.
So...
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Anyways.
I'm sorry, man.
So the last thing I'll mention is I have been... I got a new Apple Watch.
Oh,
the new Series 8.
Ooh, fancy.
And generally, until now, I have always taken the Apple Watch off at night, let it charge overnight on the thing. But I have tried using the Apple Watch to track my sleep. So I've been wearing it to sleep for the last week or so. And I actually kind of like the data. It's kind of cool. Seeing, when I'm awake, when I'm in deep sleep, it kind of tracks all that stuff. I don't know how it does, but it says it does. And of course, why would Apple lie to me?
There are graphs.
So yeah, they're cool little graphs. The problem I have discovered with it though is, and I think I fixed it, so I will know tomorrow morning if it works, is it doesn't actually make a sound. It just kind of vibrates on my wrist to wake me up.
I don't know what that means. For my alarm. For your alarm?
So the alarm, I've just used my phone as my alarm, and when the alarm on my phone, when I was wearing the Apple Watch, the alarm on the phone didn't sound audibly anymore, just the wrist would vibrate. So whatever settings I had. And which worked the first few days, but this morning, I slept through.
You're like,
my body was used to
by just like
the vibration on my wrist.
Yeah.
So I think I found the setting where you can have it do both haptic and audio. So I will
guarantee
know
it's possible because I have been sleeping with my watch on for like a very long time, a couple of years, and my phone alarm goes off every single morning.
Okay, so I will have to figure out what those magic tricks are because it was pleasant at first because it's just nice. I'm awake now, but now it's not
Depends
enough.
on your level of tiredness. No, you'll have to let me know once you've done it for a while. Managing the charge on the watch, it makes it much more common for me to find myself dead, with a dead battery, inadvertently when in a place that I can't charge it, which is kind of frustrating.
So how I'm working that is, well, one, it's a brand new watch, so the battery is
exactly
pretty good,
as good as it will ever be.
Yes, but as I prepare for bed, I set it on the charger. So the 15, 20 minutes or whatever it is I'm preparing for bed, then I'll put it on before I go to sleep. And then when I get up in the morning, I'll put it on the charger and then get ready for the morning and then put it on my wrist. So it kind of goes to the charger before I go to bed. And then as I'm preparing, and so far that gets me back to 100% the last week. So we'll see
that.
How well that continues. Yeah, until the battery stops charging.
I mean, who knows? Mine's a 6, I think.
My old one that I replaced by 7:00 at night, it was dead. So, that was with charging it every night, overnight, and so it started in the morning at 100%.
Yeah,
and by 7:00 in the evening, it was out of power.
It doesn't take that long to charge, but I don't generally charge it at night. I generally, when I wake up in the morning, it says it either says, "Congratulations, you got your sleep goal," or it says you've met your sleep goal, X out of the last Y days, which I think is its kind of passive aggressive way of saying, but not last night. But
I have yet to meet my sleep goal.
Well,
so,
well.
Ready for a topic?
Yes, hit me up.
So, my topic this week is security-ish related, I suppose.
Mostly,
but it was just wild. Yes, mostly.
Okay.
It's insane. So, the title of the article, it's a personal blog from a guy named Connor Tumbleson. And 2 weeks ago, he got an email from someone that he said it sounded like a scam, and he about just trashed it. But I'm going to read the email that he got from somebody, and then we'll go from there, because this is just insane. It says, "A few days ago, this person named Maris, redacted, found me on GitHub and reached out and asked me to be his senior software engineer, where my priorities will be communicating with clients. I thought it was a tiny bit strange, since I'm a college junior having a hard time to land a engineering intern offer. But I took it and I knew what I was capable of." And this is what he was doing. He finds contract positions, pretends to be a real developer with experience matching that position, and wants me to interview as that real developer. In this case, he found a contracting position, researched, and decided to become you, this Connor guy. Furthermore, he sets up a fake email similar to yours, attached in the document, connortumblerson2@gmail.com, for communicating with the client. I doubt this happens very often, since he pretends to be different developers most suited for the job, but perhaps you should let, and redacted, the so-and-so know what is going on, the client. Take care, Andrew.
What?
So here's the email, right? There is a guy who is finding people to interview for a position, and then a contract position, And then he's using it because apparently his language skills are English is not his first language. So he's hiring people. And this is a very long article. It'll take you 15 minutes to read the whole thing. But anyways, so turns out he emails the guys back, says, what's going on? He says, yeah, I've got a Zoom call set up where I am supposed to pretend to be you and interview for a job. And so the guy backed out of the guy who sent him the email said, I don't, this feels slimy. I don't want to do this, but I'm letting you know. And he gave him all the information. So this guy, the real Connor Tumbleson, joined the Zoom call and, told the client really quick, hey, I'm not the real guy. There's probably going to be a guy who's going to call in connect in a couple minutes who will claim to be me and interview for the job. So sure enough, he's on the call. He kind of says he's trying to explain how someone's going to impersonate him. And the client, fortunately for him, kind of went along with it. So he changed his name, stayed on the Zoom call, and acted like someone else. And sure enough, this contracting company, another person, joined the call as Connor Tumbleson and started talking. And the new person spoke with an accent, but they kicked off the interview. He was explaining a little bit about himself. So the fake Connor was explaining who he was. And he proceeded to read the document that this other guy sent him, which was basically the real Connor Tumblison's LinkedIn profile and GitHub profile.
Oh, my gosh.
And all about him, right? And claiming to be that guy. And, at that point, the real guy, turned on his camera and was like, dude, I'm the real guy. What are you doing?
Who are you?
Who are you? And of course, the fake guy immediately dropped the call. And so then he talked to the guy that was interviewing. They had been discovered through Upwork. So this guy now, Connor, is not going to let this go. He starts tracking down. And so that's why the article is very long. And I can't do it justice. You got to read through the whole thing, this whole scam. And he's not finished because this was like 2 weeks ago and he's still researching it. But they found fake websites that were trying to be contractor positions. He goes through that. There's a business site in Wisconsin, a phone number in Panama, a generic Gmail account. He starts going through, figuring out who is trying to be fake me and getting jobs, especially in this remote first world now. Basically, what this company or this group of individuals are doing are finding people, paying them $50 to go on an interview as somebody else to pass the language barrier, answer the easy questions, get the job, and then they kick them out and use the similar email, the Connor Tumbleson 2@gmail.com to communicate with the company as a contractor, but they're this other group that's now, doing this. Why they don't just apply for the job for real if they can actually do it, I don't know. Or it's just crazy. It included certifications, his employment history, the fake cover letters, the fake email address that was, -2, it was just crazy. And he's tracked down a bunch of other people and he found a Slack group where they were all doing this. And so there's like 30 people in this Slack group kind of, he didn't put names because he's like, I don't know who knows that they're doing this and who is being duped. So he hasn't really exposed people other than the real ones that or the ones that he knows for sure are doing the duping. And they made up excuses like, oh yeah, well, we're just not good at English, so we just have someone else. It's okay. We'll pay you for it.
Morals.
It's illegal. Like you cannot impersonate somebody else. Anyways, so yeah, you got to read through the whole article. It's a pretty easy read, but well documented for what happened to this actual guy. And the fake contracting company that gets people to interview. They set up profiles of real people and then use fake people or fake profiles to get those real people jobs.
Wow.
But, it's just nuts. This whole thing is just hilarious. So not particularly, it's mostly security related in that this is the kind of thing with all the stuff that you have about you online, especially if you use LinkedIn and you've got your entire work history out there. People can impersonate you for all sorts of things. And this one is a new one to me and
wow,
fascinating.
This is, and well, you hear lots of people, at least I've seen posts or screenshots of posts on Reddit about developers like holding down 2, 3, 10 full-time jobs, hypothetically collecting the salaries and not actually, being able to somehow, go from one to the other or however they manage to maintain it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, crazy, crazy world. I see that. So we can see 35 members in this Slack, but I don't feel comfortable posting the list.
Yeah. He's got videos of what they're doing. Websites. He did deep analysis, and he says he's still looking into it to try to figure how widespread this is. So, and he filed Google support saying, "Hey, someone is impersonating me."
With the other email address.
Yeah, with the fake email address.
Wow, you're right. This is a very, very long article.
So, anyways, if you're interested in how someone can take what they can find out about you and use your good educational background and engineering job history to get themselves jobs, apparently people are doing it. So there you go. That's what I had this week.
That is quite the story. Okay, there was a bunch of stuff that happened this week. I pulled out two. The first one I thought was fun because it's a long old Python thing, but I got the link on Hacker News, and then it turns out that I recognized some of the people quoted. So it's our friends at Trellix. So Doug McKee in particular, and Charles McFarland was quoted in there too. So I just went to the real article. So I'll post the Trellix article here. But this was great because Doug says that while they were investigating an unrelated vulnerability in an enterprise device, they thought they had discovered a new 0-day, but then they realized that it was actually CVE 2007 4559. And if it's not obvious, 2007, the first four numbers there are the year in which that CVE was posted. So 15,
I was a much younger man.
15 years ago. You were. I
had less gray hair.
I was approximately as much younger than myself as you are of yourself, hypothetically. Anyway.
Approximately. I don't think that's okay.
You keep using that word. So the thing. So this is why was it never fixed? Well, who knows? Except that garbage. Okay, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. So it's actually in a tar file module in Python, and it's a path traversal. So the tar file module will happily allow extracting paths starting with / or ... which will allow traversal outside of the directory to which you are attempting to uncompress a file. And basically that means,
right,
if you have permissions that you can go overwrite other files in the system. So a well-known type of vulnerability and type of attack. It's crazy. It's crazy to me that is still the case in tar, and seemingly intentionally, in the sense that there's a in the documentation for the library, there's a warning that says, never extract archives from untrusted sources without prior inspection. It's possible that files are created outside of the path. So the solution, the fix to the bug that somebody made 15, 14, 13, I don't know how many years ago, was it's the developer who uses its problem. We'll just warn them. So that is not a solution. Just heads up. The other cool thing that it seems like Doug and the guys did was they attempted to find out how many GitHub projects leverage this module, and of those which are vulnerable to this path traversal. And so they said with standard GitHub access, they were able to find over 300,000 files containing Python's tar file module, and 61% were vulnerable to attack. And they actually contacted GitHub, who helped them presumably run a similar search or something like that. And they said with GitHub's cooperation, we were able to determine there were around 2.87 million open source files which contained Python's tar file module in about 588,000 unique repositories. So it said they're still trying to figure out, process the larger data set, but that if 61%, which is the amount they determined of the open, or, I guess they must be public repositories, if that same percentage holds true, that would be an estimate of over 350,000 unique open source repositories vulnerable to the attack on GitHub. So, anyway, I had seen this story. I thought it was a good one, but also on, I don't know, kind of the importance of not getting academic. They had some discussion about whether or not the reason it wasn't patched was because, sometimes you want to do that. Well, no. So there probably was some religious debate 15 years ago, and it just never got fixed. So there you go. That was my first one. Mm-hmm. Python. Okay, here's my second one. Notmyplate.com. So I got this link from Catalan's newsletter this week.
Notmyplate.com.
So this is a paper that was they call it a study, I guess, a study done between June and September, where they attempted to track cars of 120 volunteers by using parking applications. Because of how common parking applications are, and because there's no real authentication or requirement to validate that you actually own a particular license plate, there are ways that they were trying to say, basically track people down by using, license plate applications and license plate readers, APIs with license plate readers.
Huh.
Yeah. So they say they uncovered 3 different techniques that allow unauthorized individuals to locate vehicles based on their license plate. The first technique, they said, involved re-registering the license plates into parking and toll road applications that start and stop sessions based on automatic license plate recognition. So, basically saying, I own AAA 1111, whatever the license plate is, and I want to park here. And then they would get an error if they're already parked somewhere else, or if they were already parked there, or they could see where their car was depending on the application. It says that out of the 120 license plates monitored, and they asked for volunteers on Twitter, evidently, with, some, but they didn't tell the volunteers what they were going to do. They just ask that they know what their license plate is and be the registered owner of the car. So it says they were able to detect slightly over 29% of vehicles during a 100-day window by doing this technique. The second technique was they said a proof of concept stalkerware application was developed to routinely create 1-second parking sessions for a multitude of parking zones across the country, intercepting any errors that would indicate if the vehicle is already parked there. When used in areas that offer limited free parking time, the scan would only have to run once a day and would not incur any charges for the attackers. Oh, yeah. So let me actually read the first part, because I feel like I misspoke maybe a little bit. It said, one discovered methodology involved re-registering the license plates into parking and toll road applications that start and stop sessions based on automatic license plate recognition. So basically you're saying, oh, hey, I belong to 111 or AAA 1111. And then in the app, it would presumably just show you when you got charged.
Okay. Got it.
So this was mostly done in Western Europe. So it said it was it says the attack surface of both techniques is widespread, with more than 3,850 affected areas identified in 10 different countries in Western Europe. All traffic participants can be affected, regardless of whether or they use parking apps or not, because the cameras are doing automatic license plate recognition,
right?
Whether you have opted in or not. So, and your only way to avoid that is to not go anywhere where there's a camera. So good luck with that.
Yeah.
It says, especially in some places, where, anyway, I'm thinking of all the CCTV stuff that the UK has been doing forever and ever. Anyway, other than avoiding all affected areas, the only way for road users to temporarily mitigate the risk is to invoke their UK/EU GDPR right to restrict processing on the concerned data processors. So the website that I said at the beginning, where this is linked, notmyplate.com, the main thing on the web page is a form to help you create and file a proper GDPR request for their license plate with an up-to-date list of affected parking apps. Pretty crazy. So yeah, you can, in the paper itself, you can see that, they've got a list of, parking sessions.
Right.
When they, there's some possible costs, when they are trying to create a session to see if they get a conflict, it might be that they wind up getting charged sort of a minimum parking time. So they say they spent, $275 running this, or €275 running this, experiment or study, which is, not a terrible high number.
No.
Anyway, they go through some possible mitigations, et cetera, et cetera. It's a pretty decent article. But I thought this was interesting.
Cameras everywhere.
Cameras everywhere. So.
Well, cool.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe don't drive your car anywhere there's a camera.
Something fun?
Yeah, hit me up. Something fun.
So there is a new island in the South Pacific. They were tired of all the existing ones, and so the Earth just said, hey, let's make a new one. So earlier in this month, an underwater volcano near Tonga erupted and oozed lava, and it ended up going above the surface of the ocean, and it formed a new landmass that's a little over 8 acres in size.
That is so cool.
And
well, it's probably not cool yet.
From NASA, the Earth, you can see the new island and the steam and the smoke and everything from space.
That's awesome.
And so, the NASA's Earth Observatory observed the Home Reef seamount beginning to erupt on September 10th. And 11 hours later, there was this unnamed island poking out of the water.
Wow.
And it's 8.6 acres, 50 feet above sea level as of September 19th. And the volcanic activities are continuing, but they're low risk to the current communities, that the South Pacific communities in the area. And I I want to say I'd heard of this before, but there have been several other submarine volcanoes flaring up in 1852, 1857, 1984, and 2006, producing new islands each time. So the trick, though, is the islands created by underwater volcanic activity don't last very long. So the longest one that is last, an island that was created in 1995, lasted for 25 years.
Huh.
So
I want to know why or why not. Is it like
it does? Yeah. Does it just slowly collapse underneath itself, back into the ocean? I don't know.
Very cool.
So,
very cool.
Anyways, that's my something fun. I saw this new island volcano link off NPR. Thought that'd be fun because I noticed that you had already added the fun thing I was going to throw in. So
well, you should talk more.
I will
about
turn that over to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I stole two fun things, or I did two fun things. So the first is the dart, of course. So
Yes.
how it's not every week that we get to celebrate hitting a asteroid with a satellite.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty awesome.
Crashing a satellite into an asteroid. That is pretty cool.
Bucket list. I don't know.
Yeah. Now I got to go watch those two movies.
Oh yeah, Armageddon
in the late 90s.
Armageddon.
One was Bruce Willis, where they flew off and blew up the nukes, put nukes on an asteroid to divert it from destroying Earth. And then there was another one that had Morgan Freeman in it as the president. Is that right? Anyways, so
yes, I do.
I think there were two asteroid movies that came out about the same time.
Well, I totally remember at the time there were there was this whole disaster thing. There was two asteroid movies. There were two super tornado movies. There were two go to the center of the earth movies. There were I don't know. It was studio jealousy. I don't know. It's crazy. Okay, but anyway,
that one was cool.
I will link to the video of the actual the video from the satellite. So it ends, I don't know, 50 feet above. you get a partial last frame. Is the way the video ends. not with a whisper or a whimper, but a bang. So that's cool. You can't not say something about that. So that's awesome. But
that was super
my real something fun. I had no idea this thing existed. I saw this on Twitter, and
I cheated after you dropped it in Slack and read the whole. Fascinating,
magnificent. So this is the. Hopefully I don't butcher this, but Tripitaka Koreana is the name of this. This is what did they I'll read a couple of the so I'm going to link to a Twitter thread. The Twitter thread is full of images. I'll read a couple of pieces from the Twitter thread. But so this is the Tripitaka Koreana, carved on 81,258 wood blocks in the 13th century, is the most successful large data transfer over time yet achieved by humankind. 52 million characters of information transmitted over nearly 8 centuries with zero data loss. An unequaled achievement.
Amazing.
The pictures are fantastic. I want to go here. I want to see it. I don't know if they allow visitors. But it looks magnificent. So it says it's stored in Hainsa, a Buddhist temple in Gyeosan National Park in South Korea, is the most comprehensive and oldest version of the Buddhist canon with no known errors in its 52,330,152 characters, which are organized in over 1,496 titles and 6,568 volumes. So every one of these wood blocks is organized, stacked, cataloged, etc.
Mm-hmm.
It says next one is serendipitous data transmission over centuries occurs, of course, in libraries, But the Tripitaka Koreana is a single, uniformly produced series of texts, and the obsessive levels of care taken in its production and storage leave no doubt it was created with eternity in mind. Each wooden block measures 24 centimeters in height, 70 centimeters in length. The thickness ranges from 2.6 to 4 centimeters, and each weighs about 3 to 4 kilograms. The wood blocks are in pristine condition despite being created more than 750 years ago. So this is what is totally crazy. How they prepared them. The blocks were made of birch wood from the southern islands of Korea and treated to prevent the decay of the wood. The blocks were soaked in seawater for 3 years, then cut and boiled in salt water. Next, the blocks were placed in the shade and exposed to the wind for 3 years, at which point they were finally ready to be carved. After each block was carved, it was covered in a poisonous lacquer to keep insects away, then framed with metal to prevent warping. The wood blocks, and so there's a picture of a monk holding one up here. The wood blocks would form a pile 2.74 kilometers high if stacked, measure 60 kilometers long when lined up, and weigh 280 tons in total. Crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. So two more data points about this. The first is that the first Tripitaka, well, maybe not the first, I don't know. It says work on the first Tripitaka Koreana began in 1011 and was completed in 1087, but the original set of wood blocks was destroyed by fire during the Mongol invasions of Korea in 1232. So they only lasted 200 years, 150 years. Although it says scattered volumes printed from those blocks still remain. This particular set, to once again implore divine assistance with combating the Mongol threat, King Gojong ordered the revision and recreation of the Tripitaka. The carving began in 1237 and was completed in 12 years, involving monks from both the Seon and Gayo schools. So, in 1398, it was moved to the Buddhist temple at Heinsa on Mount Gaya, and it has remained housed there for the last 750 years, in 4 purpose-built buildings. And then there's a couple of pictures of those.
It's just amazing. Like, the pictures are fascinating. I'm with you. That would be a sight to see if it allowed visitors.
I have no idea. Anyway, the thread goes on because it talks about how this was used over the years, and how, like, for example, 45 complete printings of them were given to Japan over various times, et cetera, et cetera. It's a I don't know. It's magnificent. So anyway, this is my something fun.
Super cool.
I was super cool. I'm blown away. So there you go. All right, my friend.
Thanks, John.
Have a good night. I will talk to you later.
I will talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.